everyone, today we're doing an unfiltered video on the Hadza people. Well, genetics aspect of it. The rest was all scripted, stuff I made, and it was very eloquent if you ask me, as I know it was. I worked very hard on it. Actually, no, it was a piece of cake. You guys just can't do shit. So yeah, I decided to make this part unfiltered, I hope, but I might delete it if I find out I made some ugly noise in the background. So yeah. The genetics of the Hadza, narrated by yours truly, the creator of this channel. Okay, so I'm just gonna say one thing. I'm not gonna say it because it's not that relevant. Okay, so I'm not gonna read everything, by the way. I'm gonna read the relevant parts. The Hadza and Sandawe, populations in present Tanzania, speak languages containing click sounds and therefore thought to be distantly related to Southern African Khoisan languages. So they analyzed 3,528 individuals from 163 ethno-linguistic groups. We found that the Hadza and Sandawe individuals share ancestry distinct from and most closely to Omotic ancestry. And who are the Omotic peoples? They're the Ari peoples of the Omo Valley. You know those guys who have like those big ass lips from those discs they put inside them? It's basically them. They also share Khoisan ancestry with people like the Khomani, Karatj. I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce many of the things I claimed earlier in the video. Karaj, Yohwansi in Southern Africa share Niger-Congo ancestry with populations like the Yoruba from Nigeria and the Luhya from Kenya, consistent with migration of the Bantu expansion, and they share Cushitic ancestry with Somalis, multiple Ethiopian populations. Basically, And let me just tell you guys one thing. The Omo Valley people and the Ethiopian populations, they're like separate. They're like considered in two separate categories. Like one's Cushitic, like somewhat, who are cousins to the Semites. Not Jews, Semites are more of a broader group, but they're cousins to the Cushitics, but they're like a different group from the Omotic peoples. Anyways, so basically, they have the Nilo-Saharan ancestry, Arabian, Pygmy, everything. They're pretty mixed. Our results indicate that West Eurasian ancestry. West Eurasian is basically what's the more accurate term for Caucasoid, as it's more of like a genetic term. It's a genetic aspect thing. Anyways, let me give an example. South Asians, to an extent, are West Eurasians because they have Neolithic Iranian DNA and steppe pastoralist DNA, and French people, American, Canadian, like all those people, and like even Arabian, North Africans, they all have West Eurasian DNA. I'll make a video one day explaining that. So it's more precisely the parent of Cushitic ancestry. The West Eurasian ancestry in Eastern Africa is more precisely in the Arabian parent of, Relative to the out-of-Africa migrations, Hadza ancestry emerged early, whereas the Sandawe ancestry emerged late. So that's the difference between them. Now, let's talk about that. This is the autosomal DNA analysis, by the way. But if we're gonna talk about their haplogroups, I think I made this in pretty shit order. Fuck it. No, I did it in correct order. Anyways, in the Hadza population, Hadza primarily have early Y chromosomes, but what is very interesting, the early Y chromosomes, they have the haplogroups they have is B2, which is a very old haplogroup that diverged from haplogroup A. But there's a very interesting haplogroup that shows the Arabian Cushitic thing, which is haplogroup E1B1A. Actually, E1, E1B, and E1, E1BA. Basically, the one that's with an A, it's more related to the sub-Saharan African people, like the Yoruba, etc. While E1B1B is more related to the Cushitic peoples and Semitic peoples. Yes, and that's pretty interesting. Even Khoisans have such a haplogroup, which is also very interesting. Anyways, and they also have haplogroup A3 to B2 and these the below haplogroups are basically the below mentioned haplogroups. They're basically like the OG haplogroups of the region, and they're pretty archaic, especially A3B2 as it's from haplogroup A. It's like a pretty old sorry, fuck. I'm not even sick, but my throat is itchy. Anyways, so the conclusion is we found that the Hadza ancestry diverged early rather than late, unlike the Sandawe people. What? There's a contradiction, but whatever. Oh no, it's just my misunderstanding. Whatever. We found evidence for contributions of Cushitic and Niger-Congo ancestries in Tanzania, consistent with the movements of herding, cultivating Cushitic speakers 4,000 years ago and agricultural Bantu speakers 2,500 years ago. So yeah, and this is according to Newman 1995, which is an old-ass study, but whatever. However, we did not find evidence of substantial Nilo-Saharan ancestry that might have resulted in the movement of Nilo-Saharan speakers. So yeah, get that out of your mind, of them having Nilo-Saharan ancestry. They do have it, but it's like to a very minimal extent, as we'll show later. We also identified West Eurasian in the Eastern and Southern African populations that was more precisely as the Arabian period of Cushitic ancestry. So yeah, basically the previous point. So yeah, this is basically what the mean ancestry proportions in the Hadza are. This is like the mean ancestry proportions. We can see that, okay, not related to any East Eurasian populations. Indians and Japanese, Chinese. Why I'm saying Indians is because Indians have AASI, Ancient Ancestral South Indian, which is an East Eurasian group, surprisingly. And I'll one day make a video about that. So we see they clearly lack it. As for Arabians, and yeah, that's also very lacking, not really connected. But yeah. Shit. Never mind. So yeah, we see basically there is somewhat connections here. But yeah. Anyways, so I'm very sorry, but you see there's this thing, a very disgusting purple line here. Also, I want to apologize for like fucking the vocabulary here, but whatever. Anyways, look, you see that, ignore that purple line, I beg of you, okay? Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so these are the 4 Hadza samples we have. This is a calculator I made all by myself, by the way. Not, like, I'm humble man, but, like, regardless, I'm just saying, I made this calculator myself. And no one can say it's just a Neolithic calculator I borrowed. No one has the right to say that at all. No one. Okay? No one. So, Hadza, I don't know what the bar means and the end means. I'll actually have to update you guys on that. So we see Bantu ancestry is in the 0 to 10 range, while Homani-San, and let me guys remind you, Homanis are a San population, Khoisan, the Khoisan people of Namibia and South Africa. That is also to a minimal of 4 to 10 to 13%, whilst Mabuti pygmy ancestry is around 3 to 5%, Anatolian Neolithic farmer, which is derived from the Cushitic populations, like they have it from the Cushitic populations, Barjin. It's basically Neolithic Anatolians. They had an impact, but it's not so significant because it's spread, like imagine like one group fucks another group, and they have kids with this group. And they spread out all the way from Anatolia to East Africa. Imagine that process. And going way deeper to fucking southern Eastern Africa. Southeast Africa. Whatever, you guys get the point. So imagine them going to Tanzania. God, I have to stretch. Imagine them going to Tanzania and their genes being diluted so much to that extent. And ancient North Eurasian, that's also it was common, it's still common today in many West Asian populations and South Asian populations, even in European populations to an extent. But again, the dilution process, I think that's a good video idea. How genes dilute, is that the word? Yeah. Caucasus hunter-gatherer, also to a minimal, same process. This is an interesting sample. I have to get, wait. 2,100. Okay, So if I'm not mistaken, oh yeah, I'm definitely not mistaken. I probably am. So take this specific sentence with a grain of salt. East African Ethiopia Mota are basically Ethiopian indigenous Africans from 2,000 years ago. I'm not sure. But basically these are foragers, East African foragers. So they significantly descend from East African foragers. God damn it, I'm spitting on the screen right now. You guys don't see it. Anyways, they have a significant portion of East African Ethiopia Mota, the not hunter-gatherers, foragers. Oh, fuck, they're the same thing. Whatever. Whatever. And then the two significant ancestors they have is also Nilotic peoples, the Dinka. So that is very interesting if you ask me. The Dinka are like if we see their phenotype, we can actually see somewhat of a resemblance. Like, I'm not even joking. We see an actual resemblance to their phenotypes. I'm not gonna do a comparison. You can just Google it yourself. That was not my job. My job was just to do the whatever. I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I just see like some parallels between them. And then Ibero-Mauritanian, I can't pronounce that. It's basically North African, Neolithic North African. Again, the ancestries make sense because it comes from the Kush. The ancestry makes sense because it comes from the Cushitic peoples. And Iran Neolithic farmer Genj Dore. Anyways, sorry, that sounded a little lewd, so I apologize for that. However, this is again Neolithic Iranian, diluted, Proto-Indo-European, diluted. South Asian Onje people are basically an example of old East Eurasians who do not look East Eurasian, like the rest of the East Eurasians, despite being East Eurasians, are a proxy for ancient ancestral Indians. Again, we'll make a video about them. Western European hunter-gatherers, or WHG, or as I say it, Wuhj. That's how I say it, Wuhj. Anyways, what we're gonna say about them is, yeah, another process of dilution. As for the genetic similarities between other peoples, so as we saw in the study, they used, like in the previous study that we mentioned, they used Hadza and Sandawe as like, they practically use them in similar contexts. Like they use both of them in the same study because they're pretty similar, but at the same time distant. So you see these people are quite unique. Like they're unique. They're unique as fuck here. And they're distant, even if they're like, they're close to some populations like the Maasai, the Adi people, i.e. the people of the Omo Valley, Sandawe, obviously, since they're like the closest people to them. But when we go down, the rest just becomes more distant and distant. Like, let me just explain how the charts work. It's basically green, 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 yellow, yellow, orange, orange, red, red, purple, 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 blue, blue, blue. Yeah, like green is the closest, blue is the least closest. And you see they have barely any groups that are green to them, that are that close to them. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry guys for, sorry I'm eating food. I'm sorry guys for like having to split this into two sections because I had an idea and I also had to feed my cat and myself, so I had to cut a bit. But I decided to like remove that idea to like compare phenotypes because I decided that was a useless idea. So the Hadza phenotypes are divided into two, male and female. Just kidding. That was a stupid thing to say. Anyways, basically in terms of how their body is structured, they're rather short, primarily short. They are from 4'10" to like 5'4" or something. Yeah, they're like around that height. And unfortunately, to an extent, they have steatophagia, which is like when your body tissues in your butt make a weird kind of shape. I'll discuss that later in some later video. They have a button nose, they have big lips primarily. Their head shape is like wider than their head length. Their head width. The width of the head is wider. It's longer than it's wider than it is long. And they primarily have hunter-esque like eyes. And and they primarily have like, their hair varies from brown to dark, from kinky to peppercorn hair. And as for their shoulder width, And, like, I don't believe in the ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph bullshit. Like, what is more accurate is to just measure by shoulder width. Their shoulder width varies from narrow to broad, and let me just tell you, there's ectomorph, endomorph, ew. Fuck, I vomited in my mouth. It varies from ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. And, like, I made my own categories, and unfortunately, I'll have to prove it in the future, but, like, just stick with me for now. Endomorph is, like, narrow shoulders. Mesomorph is broad shoulders, and endomorph... Fuck, did I say... Okay, ectomorph is narrow shoulders. Meso is broad. Endo is very broad. So, yeah. That is pretty much it. And, they have very less body hair, as, like, they have very low dihydrotestosterone or DHT in their bodies as well. And I do wanted to discuss another thing, so fuck, I have to remake this shit. Okay, I'll discuss this one thing. Oh my god, so good. Yeah, so I divided the clip into 3 parts, sorry. I'm eating so much. Anyways, I'm gonna enjoy my food while I discuss the physique, so fuck. Okay, I'm done. Hold up. Okay, basically, how I've now, like, observed their physiques and what their body is built for, you can immediately tell these people have scrawny legs, and I didn't find an image for that, but whatever. But you can just check the YouTube videos, fuck. I'll link them, okay, just leave me alone. Anyways, they have scrawny legs for a reason. Like, marathon runners, compared to most East African populations, like modern people of Ethiopia or Kenya, you guys know that they're, like, the best endurance runners ever, right? Like, in terms of genetics. It's not only and that's why they have to stay so lean and so small and scrawny, because muscle mass takes up energy. It takes up a lot of oxygen, so it won't help your endurance when you're running. So that's why their lower body is pretty scrawny, but despite that, it's very, very, very endurant and much more healthier than your fat ass who can't stand up from their couch. Anyways, as for their physique, what they have is a strong core from all the running and archery they do. And not only that, they have a strong grip strength from the only parts of them that are jacked is their abs, forearms, and back. That's it. And there is a strong reason for that. The reason being is because of archery. Their cores is primarily because of, like, running and to an extent sprints and kind of nucleus overload to an extent, but, like, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, whatever. They have strong grips and strong backs, and that's pretty much it. But what I also want to mention is that these people, they stay 10% body fat year round, while your fat ass can't cut down to 15 and 20% body fat, motherfucker. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Like and subscribe. Watch this video 4 times on 2x speed because I want the watch time. Anyways, I love you.